Welcome, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your producer and host of the show, Dr. Lino Martinez. This is your motivational podcast of people's incredible journeys. Oh, yeah, let's do this. Welcome back, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. Today, I would love to welcome Jeralyn Glass, a former Broadway and opera singer who has gone from selling out concert halls around the globe to becoming a leading voice in the world of holistic healing and music as medicine. Jeralyn is the founder of Crystal Cadence, a private sound healing studio that houses one of the largest selections of crystal alchemy singing bowls in the world. Welcome to A Little Less Fear podcast, Jeralyn. So nice to meet you.
Oh my gosh, it is. I'm very excited to be here with you, Dr. Lino. Thank you for having me.
And such a blessing, really. It's just really incredible that we're both living in the same city. For all of you tuning in for the first time, and I'm a Los Angeles native. I'm in LA County, and so is Jeralyn. And so I'm certain we're going to meet face to face one of these days, hopefully soon. So this is really incredible. Jeralyn, I've gone to a few sound baths before, and when I first went to a sound bath, I had no idea. This is before the pandemic. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know what I was going to feel. I was actually kind of nervous. I thought we were going to meditate. I didn't know anything. And so I went with some of my Buddhist friends and I thought, okay, maybe we're going to meditate around sound bowls. But no, they laid us down and there was a gentleman, actually there were a few people with sound bowls going around with different sounds. And this is before I knew anything about frequency or vibration. I didn't know anything. And I want to say that I kind of fell asleep in the middle of it. I don't know if I was in a meditative sleep or state or if I actually fell asleep. But I remember being really, really quiet, really feeling peaceful inside. And when I woke up, I felt refreshed. I felt happy. I felt energized. And I didn't understand what had just happened, but I knew that I wanted to experience it again. And so with that said, I'm curious, what brought you into this journey of singing bowls, crystal bowls, and vibration and all of this wonderful stuff?
Okay, so first, I can't wait for our conversation. So,
Okay.
firstly, what you described is that I think it's important that people understand because sound bath it's a fairly new concept. Although, for example, the Tibetan or the Himalayan singing bowls have been around for hundreds of years. These crystal alchemy singing bowls are basically they were birthed in the year 2000, so they're 25 years old. So it's definitely
Wow.
it's a new kind of thing. What you described so beautifully, Dr. Lino, is that your mind hears these sounds and it goes, "Oh wow, that's music." Whoa. And then it's like the music just quiets your mind. It gives your mind something to focus on, and your mind begins to focus, and then you drop in a very deep state. I mean, that's really what happens. And whether people go into a theta state or it's not even about that, but it's just about that the mind focuses on the beauty of the sound. We know it to be a kind of music, and then the mind quiets. And when the mind quiets, you connect with your soul, you connect with your heart, and this chattering is still. You come into a meditative state, and you might experience, like you said, that you fall asleep, but you're in a very deep state of receiving. You're receiving the sound. Every single cell of you is receiving the sound.
I love how you said that, a deep state of receiving. And
Yeah.
that's what brings the tranquility because you're in full present vibrational alignment with what is going on in your environment at that moment. And at that environment and that at that moment is sound healing. And my body was being receptive to it.
Yes. And, there's so many things to say. So, how did I find these bowls? I found them 19 years ago, and I was traveling with my mom. I was living in Germany at the time, enjoying a career as a professor and having a full active singing career. And we went to a lecture, and I said to my mom, I've never heard anything like this because I was already playing the Himalayan bowls. Like before performances, I had a little set. There was a wonderful shop in Cologne in Germany that had a whole big collection of the metal singing bowls. So I had a few of them and I'd put them on my belly. I'd do my own kind of meditation before performances. So they did for me what I just described to you. They would still the thinking mind. So in the case of a performer, you're not okay, am I going to get every word right? Am I going to get this music right? What about the direction, what I'm supposed to do on stage? Like you just stop thinking about anything. You come very present in the moment, and you're able to be your true authentic self. So when I heard those with my mom, I was like, Mom, I have to get these. I've never heard anything like this. They're crystal. So if we think, Dr. Lino, that our body is crystalline in structure, so our skeletal system, so our bones, our blood has a crystalline structure to it. There's something about that sound, which I'll play for you in a little bit. There's something about that sound that it just boom, it quickens you, it quiets your mind, and you go into this very deep state. It was a different experience than I had ever had before with sound. And so I bought a set of 7. This is 19 years ago. And I brought them back to Germany. And one note is for each chakra. So in the Western system, we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, right? So those C, D, E, F, G, A, B are the 7 notes of the chakras within the body. So I bought those 7 bowls and I started playing them in Germany. I'm a professor of singing, so I played them for my students, and then I'd have the students choose a bowl and play with it. I played them for my son, who was 7 at the time, and he loved them. He was like, Mommy, bring me to bed with my sound blanket. Like there's something just so beautiful and warm and comforting about the sound of the crystal bowls. And then what I experienced is one of my students, she was having trouble getting into her higher range. And so I said, choose one of the bowls. And she chose a D note. So D corresponds with the sacral chakra. She chose a D note that the alchemy was Ocean Indium. She started playing that bowl, and suddenly her voice opened up. She started to cry, and memories came up for her. And then her voice was free. And that was the first time that I really experienced them in a different way than them being a beautiful instrument. And she remembered a childhood abuse, and her whole being opened up, right? And then with my own son, he was in a voice competition. I had created a kids foundation in Germany, and the purpose of the foundation was to create performances for young people, and then the money that was raised from the performances went to support music therapy. Because on some level, as a singer, I always knew that music was therapeutic. I always knew that music could be like a medicine for us. And so I started that kids foundation. My son and a number of the students entered a competition for music in Germany, and he was 13, and his area of expertise was musical theater. So he had 5
Beautiful.
songs and choreography and a monologue. And he made it to the semifinals. And a week before the semifinals, he goes, Mom, my voice, something's happening. And his voice started to drop. So what happens for a young man is the
Yeah.
larynx gets 5 times. I don't know how it was for you when you went through, but we used the bowls. And the bowls kept his voice open. And that was the second sort of experience of, wow, Dr. Lino, these are more than a beautiful instrument. They can help us to move through challenges or move through things we're not even aware that we're holding. And I watched my son at age 13 get up and say, Hi, my name is Dylan, and since 1 week, I'm no longer a soprano. And everybody laughed. He made a joke, and it could have been, it was a vulnerable time for him, but the
It is.
sound held him steady. So that was when I first discovered 19 years ago. And then fast forward, he passed away 10 years ago. And when he passed away, as you can imagine, like just what you were sharing with me about your own challenges in your life, like, how do you deal with things? How do we know?
Mm.
How do we heal? How do we transform something that
Right.
you get a diagnosis or you get an experience like death and you go, I'm done. I'm
Right.
done.
Uh-huh.
And you want to give up, but it's like I understood there was a much bigger picture than just death, just right. And the bowls accompanied me through that. So the bowls became my companion, my therapist, my everything, that my medicine, my magic pills. They became everything that I needed to be able to hold my hand and walk me through, for a parent, what's the biggest thing that one fears as a parent is losing your child. So that's kind of
Yeah.
in a nutshell. I know I talked a lot, but
No, I think it's beautiful. I mean, thank you so much for sharing all this. And as you're sharing, I'm wondering, I'm motivated to get my mother a sound bowl, for herself, a
Mm,
crystal bowl.
mm.
Because from what I'm hearing, I mean, obviously, losing a child, as you said, has been one of the most awful things for her as well. And I feel that you have definitely found healing with these frequencies coming from crystal bowls. And I'm wondering, I guess, how did the crystal bowls help you through grief?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I mean, you know, in your line of work that there's many things that we go through that you can't really express in words. So at the beginning, after my son's name is Dylan, which means born of the sea, and when I was pregnant with him, I swam with dolphins, and then throughout his life, we swam with dolphins. So he was a very spiritual kid from the beginning. Um, but it's like you can't you can't take a pill. You can't there's just things that certain challenges we have in our lives, we have to be able to sit in the feelings we're going through, whether it's a physical pain, whether it's not knowing what to do, whatever it is, we need to be able to sit in what it is without running away. And I was
Yeah.
doing talk therapy sometimes 6 hours a week, but I couldn't talk through the grief. As my singing teacher
Mhm.
used to say to me, you have to sing with your body. Every cell of you has to sing. And she would say to me, nothing vibrates here. Stop thinking and listening and judging yourself. Nothing's vibrating there. It's vibrating in your body. So what I learned is, as I sat with one of the singing bowls and started to play, first of all, Dr. Lino, it sounded like nails on a chalkboard. And I'm like, I'm a professional musician. I'm like, Jeralyn, what are you doing wrong? And it's like, it came to me later, I wasn't doing anything wrong. The quartz, which is an amplifier, a transmitter, and a receiver, was reflecting the agony that was going on in my body. It was
Yes.
reflecting the grief. And so it started sounding like screeching. And then the more that I allowed the sound to be, and the more I landed in the grief and started keening and groaning and just making sounds without words, the grief started to move. And so I'll never forget, after that first session I did with myself, I probably played the one bowl, it was one single bowl, for 50 minutes. I got up to go wash my face, and Dr. Lino, I looked in the mirror and there was light in my eyes. And I
Wow.
was like, what is going on here? What is going
Hmm.
on here? And my son was very present. So when I started to play that bowl, and I made a very sacred space for myself, I sat near a fire, and I felt this misty white presence come in the room. So I could feel him, and I could feel him guiding me what to do and giving me the courage to open my throat and just make sounds that were ugly, that were just
Trapped energy, trapped
trapped,
grief. Yeah,
right?
pain.
And suddenly then everything started to move. So when I got up and saw that light was in my eyes, I was like, okay, son, I get it. I'm onto something here. This sound of the one bowl gave me the permission to breathe and feel and transform those emotions that were stuck and to heal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not an easy process that you say, okay, I'm playing some sound bowls within a few weeks, like I'm out of grief. No, it's been years of a process. But I just know that I felt so alone in carrying that. And even if I would share with other parents who had lost kids, it just wasn't the same thing because, as you know, with your very rare um, disease, like, you have to have the strength to go through it on your own. Nobody can do it for you. So
Right.
people can support you and hold your hand and love on you, but nobody could say, okay, Geraldine, go in and sit with that excruciating pain and deal with it. But guess what? The crystal bowl did. And it was like, it became my way of holding a sacred space and being able to dive into the depth of feelings, that you just go, I don't want to have anything to do with that. But you can't run away from them. You can't push them away because you'll never have a life. You'll never be a whole human being.
Such a powerful story, Geraldine. This is amazing. And this is the first time that I hear anything like this, where the power of a crystal ball can really move through your body and bring you closer to your purest self by cleansing you and allowing you to release what's stuck inside your body. And it's just, it's alignment. It aligned you with a higher vibration. That's why your son was able to meet you there. And
And
it's
yeah,
cleansing.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, sorry to interrupt you, when I fell into depression, you know what we were kind of talking about how you can drop in when you just feel like, man, what am I supposed to do?
Hmm.
When I would drop into that depth of just grief and depression, I couldn't find him. And then that would
Oh.
frighten me. But when I allowed myself to become more and more hopeful and to make space for the grief, he
Oh
was
yeah.
right there with me. He was
Yeah.
right there. But if I fell into this self pity, I couldn't find him.
No.
It's
You
so
won't
interesting.
because our loved ones are in a higher vibrational state.
Bingo.
So they can't, it's hard for them to go down vibration, to lower their vibe. They're naturally at a high vibration. So we need to raise our energy levels and follow our joy and do whatever it's going to take for us to be as hard as it is. Whenever you find that glimpse or that tiny little twinkle of light, that's when they're going to see that little opportunity to give you a sign or a little nudge on your shoulder or your back.
Yeah.
But they're always there. They're just, waiting for us to notice that this is what it takes. This is what it takes. It's going to be rough, but this is what it takes for us to communicate. But they're there with us all the time. Anytime we ask, they're there.
And I feel like music is because it's such a language that every human being understands. And I like to call it the language of the sublime, or it takes us to the place of the ineffable. There's no words there. Music has the ability, as I know you know, music and sound vibration are just speaking about, okay, how do we create a higher frequency or a higher vibration? It builds the bridge between the seen and the unseen, between
Okay.
the visible and the invisible, between heaven and earth, between
Yes.
this human being and God, however you want to call it. Music can
Yes.
help us create the bridge. And then, it's up to us what we do with it. Do you have a little less fear because suddenly you're held and you feel like, okay, I can do this? Like, okay, I got this. It's not bigger than me. Right. And I feel like that aspect of sound and music, like when I think about as a young singer, like listening, I heard a concert in the Berlin Philharmonic, which is one of the greatest concert halls in the world, conducted by Herbert von Karajan, who was one of the greatest conductors of all time. And I just remember he walked out on that stage. I'm a young singer, and you could hear a pin drop. And there was such a presence and a sublime energy in that concert hall that it takes you beyond this. It takes you into the grandness of what is possible through sound,
Mhm.
whether it's structured music. In that particular thing, it was Beethoven, but whether it's structured sound and music that we know, or even a song you love, like Happy by Pharrell or whatever, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter the style. Or if I'm playing crystal bowls that are very much, they're very much a very precise instrument, and yet an instrument that gives us a full space of expansion. It doesn't matter what that is, Dr. Lino, but music has the power to take us beyond the thinking mind
It
and
really
build a
does.
bridge.
Music really does. I absolutely. So I'm writing some notes here because I have some questions to go with what you're
Uh-oh.
talking about right now. Music building the bridge. Um, and also you mentioned the concert hall. I'm getting somewhere here. And then you also talked about grief moving through you with the crystal bowls. Let's start there before we go back to the music being the bridge and also the concert hall example that you gave, which is beautiful. I can feel it and I can see it.
Mm.
So the question that I had, the prior discussion that we were having before you mentioned the whole music hall and the building the bridge between life and feelings and our inner companions. So when you were moving through grief with the crystal ball, I'm aware that there's our chakra system, our chakras have a frequency. And you also mentioned earlier that the singing bowls that you got in Germany were tuned to do, re, mi, fa,
Mhm.
sol. La. So the throat chakra, I'm curious, what crystal bowl were you using that allowed you to clear the grief that was in your throat? What was it? Was it a certain note? Was it a certain color? What was the note?
I mean, the more I have landed in this world, the more it blows my mind because I'm being a classical musician. I want to have the science and the structure and the theory of music behind it. But then truly, there is that place of the indescribable. So
Okay.
I chose the bowls, so the first 7 bowls that I had were different alchemies. So, like, for example, when my son was having his voice change, he chose a G note. Now, at
Mhm.
that point in time, we weren't thinking about that at all. They were just
Yeah.
musical instruments. He chose a
Mhm.
G note, which represents the throat chakra, and
Okay.
that alchemy of that bowl was
Yeah.
citrine. So, this bright yellow citrine is about your personal power, your
It
self
is.
esteem, your confidence, your courage. So, he
Right.
knew exactly what bowl to use, and he'd play that bowl
Uh-huh.
and start by, I had him doing ha 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 ha, just making different tones, opening his jaw. But the bowl that entrained with him, the bowl that accompanied him, was a throat chakra note with a citrine alchemy. So the
Beautiful.
bowl that I chose, and again, this was not conscious on either of our parts. The bowl that I chose to really start the process of going through the grief was a G sharp note. So that's
Interesting.
what I want to say to you. Technically, that belongs back here. So technically, the G sharp is what we call the zeal point chakra, and that is like the male slot to God. So I chose that note. The tuning of that bowl was 528 hertz, which is a more elevated tuning.
Mhm.
And then the alchemy of that bowl, I'm so excited. The alchemy of that bowl was selenite. And selenite is
Love it.
is is building a bridge of grounded white light.
Yeah.
Selenite is the connection of heaven and earth. So,
Wow.
did I think all those things through? No, I didn't. I knew that I wanted to take the selenite bowl because I was looking for light. I was looking for this kind of higher vibrational frequency that could connect me to him. But
Uh-huh.
did I know that the G sharp was like the male slot to God? No, I didn't realize. I mean, I didn't realize that since this all has unfolded the last 10 years. I mean, I've studied deeply, deeply, deeply.
Mhm.
And there's so many things that you can coordinate. Is it the alchemy of the bowl? So in his case, was it the citrine? Well, that had a lot to do with him standing up and saying, "Hey, my name is Dylan, and since one week, I'm no longer a soprano." Like he was just filled with himself, right? Did
Yeah.
it have to do with the throat chakra note? Of course it did. It helped to keep his voice open. The selenite that I chose, did that help bring that misty white presence in the room? Of course it did. But,
Mhm.
can we think those things through and plan them? There's a magic. And maybe magic isn't the right word. There's a mystery. There's something beyond all logic that sound works with. And I think this is the essence of spirit and the essence of who we are as beings. We're soulful beings. We're not just this physical body that has these physical ailments or these emotional challenges that we go through. We're also spirit, body, soul.
Yeah.
We're ancient.
We are ancient. And you know what's incredible is the fact that your son chose that crystal and the fact that you chose your specific crystal and those specific notes and we are in unison with the consciousness of the natural abilities that Earth has to give us for survival. So when we trust what we see in front of us, and I've got a quartz here. So as we know, and as you know, quartz are all crystals, depending on your emotions, they're amplifiers. They can either amplify or bring up or bring down the energy or the frequency, but they are consciously and they're aware, even though we're not aware. They don't have to have a heartbeat, they don't have to have blood flowing through it, but there's a
Right.
consciousness that it's radiating. So when you and your son naturally needed something and it was in your proximity, it called to you naturally. It said, "Here I am, and this is what I'm here for, and I'm here to heal you." The thing that a lot of people don't understand is that we're all healers and we're all here to be healed and we're all here to elevate one another, whether it's a crystal, whether it's a dry rock in the desert, or whether it's the mountain across the street or the river across the street. We're all here to be guided by and to be guided with in unison because we are also have these parts in our body, all these tiny little parts that are in rocks and all around nature exist within our body as well. And so you and your son both connected unconsciously, or when I say unconsciously, I actually feel that when that happens, actually, that's when you're most intuitive.
Right.
That's when you're most aware, and you're mostly aware that you're unaware. That you think you're unaware, but you're actually really aware. Your body and your soul, it called it in and said, "This is what you need," and you trusted it. And a lot of it is faith and trust. So you trusted that this crystal had what it needed to give to you in order to bring out what you needed to become your greater self, and you trust it. It's just beautiful. You're telling me this stuff, and I'm just like, wow, I'm blown away. And I always had these questions, So I'm studying the chakra system and the psychology with the chakra system and different crystals. And so when I look at other whenever I have opportunities to go to a sound bath, or when I've had the opportunities, I wonder how aware are these musicians or the people that are walking around you with the sound bowls. Do they know the specific alchemy, as you're saying, with the sound that they're giving? And if so, I often feel and I wish that there would be more specifics on flyers, that this specific one is going to be on 528 hertz. We're going to be working on the throat chakra rather than just here's a singing bowl and let's see what you get out of it. Because that's what I got out of the very first time I went. I didn't know what I was getting. But had I had a detailed explanation that I know now, then I'd probably go with more of an intention. And now that I'm more educated with sound and frequency and vibration and crystals, I can more intentionally meditate and connect to the crystal and know what part of my body needs to be opened up and connected with for divine guidance.
Okay, so here's something that's also mind blowing. Okay, so this is the work of my mentor, Dr. Sue Morter. Okay, so this is the picture of the toric field. So you might say to me, well, Jeralyn, I would have liked to have known that that was a throat chakra bowl at 528 hertz. But I say to you, what happens if the blockage is here? Okay, and see your field is distorted. What
I
happens
love this.
what happens if the blockage is here? So for example, with the student that I told you about, she chose a D note, right? And the D note is the sacral chakra, and she had sexual abuse that she remembered. But Dr. Lino, it is not always one to one. Okay, so again,
I love this.
imagine that I'm feeling a sense of I don't have a home. I don't feel safe. I don't feel grounded in my life. But I'm playing a C note, which is the root chakra, and you're feeling it in your heart. So then we talk about, well, the first wounding, the initial wounding where the original blockage might have been, was that you didn't feel loved or accepted by your parents. Right. So then it enacts in the lower body, it enacts in the root area, but the original wounding is really in the heart. So you hear this C note and you're going, I feel that in my heart. So it's like what I've learned, if I've learned anything, is that I can explain to you all about the tunings. I can explain to you all about what the notes do, what the alchemies do. And you may say to me, but I feel it here. And then we work with, where's the original blockage? And what happened? Like when you breathe and
Yeah.
feel and it's in your heart, what are you feeling? And then it makes sense. I mean, the two examples I explained with my son picking the G note and the citrine, that was, one to one. But sound is not always one to one. And that's the beautiful thing is, of being a doctor is like, okay, what's that pill? What's that prescription? But how do we know what's really going on inside the body? How did
I
I
love
really?
this, Jerlyn. You just gave me a whole different perspective. I have this whole new clarity now just from this 2 minutes that you explained. So basically,
Doesn't that make sense?
it makes perfect sense. And if we are open to receiving, and which we are, we're satellite dishes, if you want to say it that way. We've got satellites all over us. And if we're in that receiving mode, the crystal that we're going to receive is going to be there for a reason, and it's going to unlock whatever it needs to unlock, whatever part of our body, whether we're thinking that it's up in our head, but it's actually a heart chakra or sacral or our root. And so if we're there and it awakens or it opens up our root chakra, it's going to open up the energy and the other parts of our body, our other chakra systems, or whichever wherever there is the block of flow, in order to allow the natural flow to release whatever it needed to release. So that's really incredible. I love that you explained this.
Because it's like what you were describing in your first sound bath. You said, I went really deep. I kind of went out. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I felt all kinds of,
I
positive experiences.
did.
Well,
Yes.
it's like we can't even begin to know the complexity of the human being and the whole soulful side of us, the spirit side of us. And it's like, if we say that there's no one size fits all, what we're doing with sound is setting an intention to bring you back to wholeness. So when you
Mhm.
ask about the practitioners, do they know? I mean, it's individual for each teacher, as you know, but it's like my goal always is to create a sacred space where people feel safe to drop in. And again, suddenly you might be going, whoa, I'm feeling something down here. You might be going, oh, my third eye, I got a bad headache. Well, what we're doing is we're helping the energy to flow freely through your body and to return you to
Mhm.
a real state of wholeness where there's
Mhm.
no judgments about this, that, and the other, or holding on to traumas or holding on to. It's like, let me, just like what you did in your life, you embraced wholeness. It's
Yes.
like, I'm not going to be at the effect of this disease. I'm going to work with it because that's my destiny, because I had the one in a million thing. But you asked the question, I think from what I gleaned from you, how do I become whole? How do I become the complete, authentic version of who this being is in this body, in this form, in this time of my existence? It's
Yes.
wholeness. It's
It
about
is wholeness.
wholeness.
Absolutely is about wholeness. My goodness, I have so many more questions, Jeralyn.
Okay,
So
shoot.
I wrote them down. So, okay. So, and I still want to go back to the music hall, the concert hall. But before we go to the concert hall, colors. So there are different crystals. Obviously, different crystals have different colors. Do the colors on the crystal create a different vibrational sound?
Very good question. So here's the other thing. Like, I love to curate personal sets for people. That's kind of what I do. It's like, so I would make a set for you that would be unlike anyone else's. So, like, some people come to me and they say, okay, so the colors of the chakra, the root chakra is red, the sacral chakra is orange, the solar
Mhm.
plexus is yellow, as I described the citrine bowl, the heart chakra is green, etc. So, some people will say, I want a ruby bowl for the root chakra. I want a carnelian bowl for the sacral chakra. I want a citrine for the third chakra. I want a emerald. And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be one to one like that. So a lot of times people do see colors when I'm playing the bowls and playing like a
Sure.
harmonic set. Sometimes they see geometric shapes. So suddenly they see really sacred shapes,
Like the
but
sacred
does
geometry.
sacred geometry. But like, for example, this is a sacral chakra bowl. It's blue. It's not orange. So understand this, and then it's got carved dolphins on it, right? So it's got this element of joy in the dolphins. So the blue color would be working with the throat chakra, but the note of this bowl is working with your sacral chakra. So right then and there, you get this, you get all these subtle energies, all these subtle layers of, again, what's going on in my body? How do I
Mhm.
know exactly what I need to heal? And there suddenly I'm working with a blue color, working with expressing myself, opening the throat chakra,
Right.
listening and receiving. And then the note is working with my creativity, my passion, my sexuality, my sacral chakra. So it's always going to be, for me with sound, it's like a harmonic orchestra it's doing so many things simultaneously and working on such subtle levels of our health and well-being. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, and I really hope it makes sense to our listeners because
I hope so
I'm
too, listeners.
ecstatic. I'm ecstatic. And so another question, I understand that in places and that are other than the United States, a lot of doctors are using sound for to heal cancers and other diseases. Have you seen any type of research or anything done with crystal bowls and healing such diseases like that?
Great question. So I've been working for 10 years with cancer patients, and we have started a collaboration with the Minerva Institute, creating a lab, music, health, wellness, and the brain. So, and I've worked with Parkinson's patients and veterans with PTSD, hospice patients. So again, I can't say to you, Dr. Lino, that, okay, take this citrine bowl at the throat chakra
Sure.
and then work with somebody who's got throat cancer and that's going to do it. It
Mhm.
doesn't work. It really, trying to explain to you like all the subtle layers that it works on.
Right.
There's not yet a lot of research done with crystal alchemy singing bowls, partly because they're new. Like what I said, they're only 25 years old. But I can, and in my book, in Sacred Vibrations, we created what we called sound RXs. So there's a lot of stories from the cancer patients. Like I can tell you stories of where in 3 different sound baths, 3 different sets of notes, 3 different sets of alchemies, 3 different tunings. But the 3 women all had mastectomies, and each of them had the same reaction. Jeralyn, I don't know how to put it in words, but I'm not missing any part of me anymore. I'm whole.
That's wonderful.
I'm not missing my breast, right? So, and there's a lot of the stories from the cancer patients. So, again, like, can I make you a prescription and say, okay, take this C bowl, make sure that it's ruby, and make sure it's 528 hertz, and that's going to cure your cancer? It doesn't work like that, because again, when you ask yourself in your own life, how have you healed? How
Mhm.
do we heal? How do we heal?
It's such an excellent question because everybody's healing journey. I mean, it's non-linear and it's very personal. And I mean, yes, how does one start to heal?
I mean, you
Open,
didn't give up.
open.
I didn't give up.
Yeah.
You believed.
Persistence.
You
Yeah,
be
faith.
right. So it's like there's so many factors that come together. So I know that we've had incredible results with cancer patients. I've seen people with Parkinson's stop shaking in front of my eyes. I've seen hospice patients where I have seen their eyes move towards the light as I'm playing. Is it particular alchemies? Yes, it can be. There's one alchemy called phenakite, which is actually this bowl has phenakite in it. Phenakite is a really high vibrational stone. Is it just the phenakite that did it for the hospice patients? So, for example, I'd say to you that it's important when someone's crossing over that I don't play something like a charcoal bowl, something that's grounding. I wouldn't play
Grounding.
something like that. You need to play something that's a little more elevated and not necessarily in pitch, but in the alchemy. So, I mean, it's so alchemical what we're doing. So, and these bowls are very different than the pure quartz bowls, the white bowls, and they're very different than the metal bowls. They do a whole different thing because you've got the aspect of the substance that's in the bowl, whether it's
Mhm.
a gemstone like ruby or a precious metal like gold or an earth substance like frankincense or a mineral from the earth like indium. They all do something different. And then they're going to do something different for you than they do for me. And
Sure.
I think that's the part for me of working with sound and music as a medicine is that it empowers you. It
Mhm.
helps you take, just as you described from the sound bath, you woke up and you had a whole different sense of yourself and what life would be going forward. There's a deeper relaxation. So it's like, how does sound help you in this moment? How does it help me? How did it help me release that, that's the sounds that were like nails on a chalkboard? That was my own grief. That started to get released through the bowls. The next time it was different, and the next time it was different. So it's like music. It's live. Back to the concert hall. It's live. The bowls were playing live, and whether you listen to any of our recordings or whatever it is, I'm going to promise you that probably each time you have a slightly different experience.
Mhm. This is beautiful. It's wonderful. And so I can also imagine that if it helps for some people, physical ailments or diseases can also help for mental health conditions, anxiety, depression, and other things like that.
I had this little child. It was during the COVID, and she was being homeschooled, and the mom had told me that she was had a lot of anxiety, and I taught her how to play the bowl. So I had her play a little bit, and then I had her use her own voice and just make up a little song that she wanted to sing with the bowl, and then I gave her a meditation I played for her, and then afterwards she said, "Miss J," she said, "I was like floating." And she said, I was floating above a green meadow. And this child was
Oh,
8. And she said, she used the word anxiety because that had been labeled on her. She said, and I had no anxiety anymore.
oh,
It was
how
just like,
beautiful.
yeah,
Very beautiful. And how incredible. What you're doing is really incredible and inspiring, motivating. And so,
like what you do.
well, I mean, like what we do, right? We're all connected. And so, okay. the deaf and the blind. I mean, obviously, I can feel since their senses are heightened in certain ways. I can imagine how this can definitely be healing and touching in so many different ways for a blind person. And I'm curious about deaf people. I mean, how could this, or the deaf community, like, how could this help people if they can't hear anything?
It's so interesting. So it's a great question. I've had the privilege of working with some deaf people. One dear friend, Victor Wooten, is a 5-time Grammy Award-winning bass player, and Victor says we don't only hear with our ears, we hear with our eyes, we hear with every cell of us. So I
Yes.
I placed either I'll hold the bowl in my hand like I showed you like this, and then put my hand on their belly or on their chest or wherever they feel, right? And so they can feel the vibration of the bowl going into their body. They won't be able to hear the same kind of music that we hear, but they can feel the vibration. And that was a very exciting experience for me to have to feel someone that doesn't have the auditory capacity that we have, but could feel the vibrations, right? So
Yeah.
remember that sound, and especially when you're doing this kind of meditative work with singing bowls, the sound comes into us at the very cellular level. It's we're not
Mhm.
just experiencing it here. It's
Right.
and that's why it's called, I think, a sound bath, because
Yeah,
you don't
right.
put your bathing
Yeah,
suit on, you don't get wet,
true,
but
right?
you're bathed in these sounds that come into your cells. I mean, I can tell you so
Oh,
many
beautiful.
stories of just the reactions, the experiences that people have, and they're all different.
This is incredible. Jeralyn, this is incredible. You're incredible.
It's
Okay,
so
so now
fun.
going back to the concert hall. So you painted a really beautiful picture, and I pictured the silence and the one note coming in, or just, and so I and then it led me to imagine you on stage, you singing. And I'm wondering because, and I'm asking this because I come from a very musical family. So I used to sing professional mariachi in my early, my back in my days, and I loved being on stage. And it's like when I'm on stage, I come to life. There's a different energy that goes through me, especially if there's a large audience or even a small audience. Sometimes I'm equally as nervous if there's three people versus 1,000 or two. It's the same type of nervous energy, but it's this energy that comes out of me, and the more nervous I am, the better I do. And so I'm wondering, the better I do, meaning the more I trust the alignment, the more I know that my body's gonna come alive, the more I know that my voice is gonna come out the way it's supposed to, whatever supposed to means. And what I mean by that is the natural flow of my inner tuning, my inner energetic blueprint coming out on stage. And so I'm wondering if you get the same feeling with these bowls that you did on stage, because I at this moment I can't imagine anything more exhilarating than being on stage, and to me that's healing. When my brother passed away, some of the things I couldn't wait to do is to sing again, because I stopped singing for so long, especially when I lost my voice. I had to go to physical I had to have therapy, speech therapy, and to this day it's not, yeah, I've got some scar tissue from surgeries I had in my larynx and stuff. So it's been really hard for me to get back into the same, I guess you could say, the same singing routine, practicing the way I used to. But when my brother passed away, I couldn't wait to sing again. And I remember it's only been a year, and last Christmas was my last Christmas, my first Christmas without him physically here. And I was talking to him. I'm like, I really want to sing to you. He used to love for me to sing. I sang at his funeral. And so I was alone, in my condo, and I decided to sing some Christmas songs and tune my voice that way. And the more that I got in tune with my feelings, with feeling my brother there, or as if he was an audience, the better and the clearer and the sharper I trusted my notes coming out of my vocal cords. And so at that feeling, at that moment, it felt as if I was on stage, and so and I was in my own element. And nothing's more beautiful than when you feel that you're the only one on stage and there's no one else around but divine energy. And it's really incredible and powerful and impactful. And I'm wondering if this singing bowls have given you that equal feeling, or maybe even more.
Such a good question too. So first of all, I was privileged to study acting with William Esper, who was came out of the neighborhood playhouse, and Bill used to say, when you feel those butterflies in your tummy, like when you just feel like, oh, and then you said like, all the nerves, he would always say, just greet your talent. It's your talent coming up. It's your talent going knock, knock. I can't wait to get out there.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Instead of just like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to make a mistake and I don't want to shame myself and blah, 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 blah. But to think of that energy as your gifts, your light preparing
Yes.
to come out. And secondly, there's so much to say about that question. As a singer, whether I was on Broadway or whether I was doing classical music, concerts or opera, I I don't I always felt like, okay, God, make me an instrument of your peace in this moment. So make me a channel. And I would always have my kind of preparation and meditation, which I was sharing that I would do with
Mhm.
the Himalayan singing bowls when I first had those. Like just this feeling, that feeling when, and whether you're playing the mariachi, where you feel like a channel. You feel like your
Yes.
human body is an instrument,
Yes.
right? And the
Yes.
sound is flowing through you. And especially like as a
Oh,
singer,
yeah.
you've got these two tiny vocal cords, but what's
Incredible.
amplifying the sound is also the quartz-like nature of our body, but what's amplifying the
Yeah.
sound is our bodies, right? And sometimes I'd wonder, like, Jeralyn, you've got these two tiny vocal cords, but you're projecting without a microphone in a 3,000 seat theater.
Yeah.
It's like, and you're on top of a 100-piece orchestra. How do we do that? It's like, as a singer, you become a vocal athlete, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like the importance is allow me to be an instrument. So whether I was singing concerts and songs and characters or whatever, or whether I'm preparing myself to play the bowls, it's like I want to be that pure instrument that music can
Hmm.
move through me because you know as well as I, like you can practice your mariachi songs, you can
Yeah.
practice the songs for your brother, but when you actually sing it, you're
Yeah.
lit. There's a fire
Oh, yeah.
inside you. You're lit
There
up,
is.
right? And it's that energy and that fire that we're talking about, which is for me the passion behind music. Whether it's a slow and a sad song, music lights us up. It lights up every cell. So I think the important part for us, whether we're playing an instrument, whether we're conducting, whether we're playing the bowls, whether we're singing, is how, who is my human instrument? What is this human instrument? How do I tune it? And when you're going
Yeah.
through grief like you were going through with your brother, and you just know instinctively, I want to sing for him because I know that singing for my brother is going to tune me. It's going to up level me. It's like what
It
you said.
did.
It's going to
Yeah.
elevate me to a higher vibrational frequency because I'm connecting with him. I'm opening the channel of my instrument and I'm expressing my heart. So for me, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if I'm singing or playing a bowl or talking with you. It's that same feeling of this is a human instrument. Nobody teaches us how do we tune it. It gets out of tune. For goodness sake, it gets very out of tune. But how do we tune it? We can't call a
Right.
piano tuner.
All
So
right.
what do we do? Right. And I think that's a lot of it has to do with your intention, your pure intention of what do you want to
I
do
love this.
with your instrument? What do you want to express
Yeah.
now? You want to connect with your brother and you want to build that bridge. And at the same time, you want to have a lot of heart presence. And then you want to sing songs that feel good to you. And then if someone's listening, they're going to feel good too. I mean, you get me going and we could just talk forever and ever about all this.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I could just keep going and going because there's so much more. We're running out of time, but I have so much more. And so I'm glad that we're going to keep in touch after this. Is really incredible. And so we're here with Jeralyn Glass, and she's also has a new book, and her new book, Sacred Vibrations: The Transformative Power of Crystalline Sound and Music. Jeralyn shows that music isn't just an art form. It is the universal language soothing our souls, healing our wounds, and lifting our spirits. More than mere melodies, music is a potent medicine transcending barriers, offering solace, inspiration, and profound healing, connecting us as one. And that is an understatement. I love it. Tell us about your book.
So, you know what? The first thing I want to share with you is that this image is actually it's made by the Cymoscope, which is a scientific instrument created by John Stuart Reid, who's a British acoustic scientist. So this is the actual sound made visible of a tiny F bowl in octave 5. So it would be a higher note F bowl. But look at the precision, look at the shape. So when I told you earlier, like when you listen to the crystal bowls, sometimes people get they see sacred geometry shapes and
Yes.
stuff. This is what a particular bowl looks like underwater. And so when you imagine that image, when you're receiving the sounds of the bowls, that image, that perfect sacred geometry is being infused in the very fluids of our body. So if we say we're approximately 70% water and this image is made underwater, like imagine what that's doing. It's tuning you. It's
It
deeply
is too.
relaxing you. The mind turns off. You get rejuvenated. You feel deeply relaxed. You come back with hope. You come back with inspiration. That for me, so the book is about my journey as a musician, how a little bit history about the bowls. There's contributions by scientists and colleagues that yeah, we speak about just the power of sound and music as medicine. All the things I experienced with the cancer patients, the hospice patients, the veterans, and then what is the structure? Like what is it with the chakra system? I'm seeing if I can find like here's one of the drawings. Like okay, so where do the notes sit in the body, and why is that important? And then we woven throughout is the story of my son. So this is the first big miracle that happened. This is with Dr. Sue Morter, who wrote the foreword to my book, on the top of Huayna Picchu in Machu Picchu. And she's holding Dylan's picture, and you see the beam of light. And
I see it. It's
it's
beautiful.
it's crazy, Dr. Lino. That was like, she was teaching me about energy and energy medicine, and that everything is made up of vibration, everything is energy, and that
Mhm.
energy gets compressed and compressed and compressed and becomes human form. And we're made of that sound, vibration,
Yeah.
light, and energy. And there I see it. There's the beam of
Uh-huh.
light coming right out of my son's mouth. So, woven throughout the book are just stories and visitations. This is one incident that happened where there was
Wow.
a rainbow angel kind of in the sky. And then on page 233 of the book, we have a QR code where you have access to some musical downloads. So I explain a little bit, okay, what is 432 hertz? What is 528 hertz? What does that matter? What's 440 hertz? So there's different examples, musical examples, and
Mhm.
of that. And then there's like a 20-minute film. So you've got this QR code here in the back, and that
That's amazing. It's so interactive.
it is because sound is interactive, like you were sharing. Like,
Yeah,
I sing, I play music, and it's a giving and receiving, right? It's
it
a
really
it's
is.
a divine collaboration between you and the listeners.
I love how you say that it's a giving and receiving because I love to sing for people. And there's nothing in the world. You can't give me $1 billion that's going to trade the feeling that that type of gift is giving. It's really it's a divine currency that it's a gift that keeps going. It just keeps giving, and it's memorable and it resonates with people, and they're always grateful for it. Well, I'm grateful for you, Geraldine. This has been amazing. So, how can our viewers, or our watchers, and our fans get a hold of you if they need you? And where can we get your book?
The book is available anywhere books are sold. If you want a signed edition, you can get that from us directly. And then this is another product that we did with Hay House that I'm very proud of. It's an Oracle deck, and the Oracle deck again from all booksellers. But the cool thing is it's got the QR codes on it. So when you choose a card and create a spread for yourself, you get to listen to the sound of your bowl. So I like this
That's
interactive.
incredible.
Yeah, I like that very much. And yeah, we have a YouTube channel where there's over 200 free meditations. My son was very adamant in terms of, Mom, I want you to make this music available to everyone. He also inspired me to create this app. So this is our
Beautiful.
app called Source Be Inspired, which is on Google Play and the Apple store. But we've got 20 visualizers on there. We've just been joined by Janae Aiko. I don't know if you know Janae's music. She's been doing something called Modern Mantra. And then there's stuff for kids on there. There's some scientists on there. So
Wow.
my son encouraged me to make a platform where people could learn about what is the science behind sound, and then what if I want to just listen to an hour of a sound bath. You got all that on the app, and I'm very, very proud of what we
Great.
did. The YouTube channel is Crystal Cadence. Our website is Crystal Cadence. Our social media is Crystal Cadence LA. And then we offer a members portal. So for people that want to dive deeper in, we meet once a month and we have discussions, and there's a whole library of interviews and talks in the members portal, which is really fun for people, because I feel like music medicine is available to everybody.
Yes,
It's available to
absolutely.
everybody, and we all love music in some form or another, and it really does soothe the soul. I'm going to
Absolutely.
play you
Yeah.
a little something. I know we're at the end,
Okay.
but we've been talking and talking about it all. Let's check this out. Okay,
Okay.
ready?
Ready. I'm ready.
So I'd invite you to just close your eyes for a moment and set your personal intention. What is needed right now in your life? What would you like sound to give you? Truly, everything is made of energy. We are sound, vibration, and light. We have the possibilities to create wholeness, no matter what our wounds are, no matter what we are going through. Simply allow these sounds to flow within you. Allow them to be felt at the very cellular level. Music can be our medicine. And music is love. And love is that essential ingredient that we need to transform and heal. So feeling this vibrational frequency of love coming through these sounds, and allow them to land in your heart. You are nourished and nurtured, and you are loved, and you are love. And gently bringing the palms of your hands together and rubbing them to generate heat. And perhaps you place them wherever you feel you're being called, your heart, your belly, your throat, your third eye, wherever you are being called to place your hands. So the sound lingers. The sound is still playing. The vibrations are always there. And even in the silence, just as I shared in that concert hall, you could hear a pin drop. And in that pristine stillness is always music. And there is always inherent in that silence and in that music is love. So thank you for joining me with Dr.
Thank you, Jeralyn, and I feel the love. You know, what's interesting is I started to feel twitches on my back, and I'm not sure what, but it made me realize it maybe the whole this whole area, maybe it's the heart chakra or something, because I started getting twitches on my back, and then my heart started to accelerate. Isn't that amazing?
So we talk about the pericardium, which is the back behind your heart, as a place where grief is stored. So if that starts twitching, it's like, knock, knock.
Hmm.
Let's move some of this.
Yeah, well, it's moving.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeralyn. Well, thank you for sharing your amazing music, and I'd like to share a poem that I have dedicated to you here. All right, here we go. Before we log off, thank you again. Here we go, everybody, for Jeralyn Glass. From singing on stage to finding a new voice, a new inner singing voice. I have become one with the frequency of music, with sound, with the vibrational patterns that make our hearts dance and awakens ourselves. And in this freedom, and in this new signature, sadness becomes love, obstacles become untangled, and my body becomes rewired. I am never out of tune when I harmonize with the balance of intentional frequencies. I am in any given octave at any given moment and flow with the natural patterns of infinite connection. Call it sound, call it meditation, or call it silence. For singing bowls have a center stage even when there is no spotlight. And that's for you. So thank you so much.
You are so talented. Thank you so much.
You are. We're both are. It's just in this beautiful, loving, gushing, divine energy. I'm just so blessed to have met you, everybody. Jeralyn Glass, thank you so much for being on the Little Less Fear podcast, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to A Little Less Fear podcast. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends and your family about A Little Less Fear podcast. And if you are interested in being on my show, feel free to leave me an email at a little less fear at gmail.com. Or if you have any questions or comments and you also want to leave me an additional message, you can also do so from my website, leaving an inquiry at www.alittlelessfear.com. You can get a copy of my book on Amazon, Amazon Kindle, and Amazon Kindle Unlimited, also titled A Little Less Fear. And thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate all the support. Leave me a review if you get a chance. I love to receive feedback, questions, and comments. And any way that I can be of support to you, please let me know. Thank you so much. I love you. Wishing you love, light, happiness, and many blessings your way.